response like it should be, and then us supporting them with the resources of the federal government. We've already deployed dollars to the state, much like the block grants that you've talked about. Right. So very grateful for that, sir.
There's never been a wave like this outside of the breaking of a dam, because this was almost a wave that ended up being 30 feet high, more actually. Now with the dam you can understand it, but this approached almost with that speed. When you see a dam break, it's not a pretty sight. It wipes out everything, and this is the kind of thing that built up so fast. And it's happened 2 or 3 times before over the years, but not to this extent. But tell them when you met the father who was picking up the daughter's clothing. And
I had walked through the cabin where all the little girls died, and I had kind of fallen apart in there, but I walked out of the cabin, and a gentleman was standing there, and he said, that man over there needs a hug. And so I walked over to him, and I hugged him, and I said, do you work here? And he said, no, my little girl was in that cabin. And he said, and I just found her best friend about an hour and a half ago. She had passed away. And he just fell apart. And so then we just hugged and talked for probably an hour about that. But then there was the grandpa was there looking for his granddaughter as well. There was a dad there of one of the counselors. The counselor was alive, but she was dealing with the fact that she had hung on to some of these girls and was trying to keep them out of the floodwaters, and had gotten hit by something and had lost 2 of the girls, and wasn't able to hang on to them, and was going to live the rest of her life thinking about that moment when she wasn't able to hang on to these girls. But these parents were picking up their kids' belongings out of the mud and throughout the camp and putting them in bags, and then one of the dads said, I knew 50 of these girls here. So I knew that was her dress and my daughter's friend's dress. So he was picking it up and putting it in a bag to return to her parents. And so it was and then the director was there comforting everybody who had lost his father the night before too, and he was still there trying to facilitate all of these parents grieving their children and find them. So the strength of people is incredible. One of the things that I asked there today, that day, was that they all have escorts or counselors when parents come in. So from that point, that when they came into the camp, that they have somebody with them when they're going and looking for their children's belongings or looking for their children. And so very emotional, but also just so tragic.
The relationship with Texas and the governor has been obviously very good for years with me, but the relationship with Texas and their first responders and us with our first responders and lots of other people, and we brought in a lot of helicopters from all over, and we had a lot of helicopters. It was actually dangerous, a lot of helicopters up there, but they were real pros, and they were responsible for pulling out a lot of people, and we got them there fast, and Texas had some good ones too, but the response has been incredible, and the fact that we got along so well, I don't know, I don't even think that's a political thing, but we got along so well, and it was so unified. I think a lot of lives have been saved. That could have been as bad as it was, and you could have lost double or triple. This thing was just really horrible. Well, congratulations on a great job, and I appreciate it. I know you're going down. I'll be going down on Friday with First Lady, who will be taking a trip, and we don't want to get in anyone's way because that's what happens. The president goes and everyone's around focused on. I don't want anyone to focus on us, but it's possible they could have somebody saved still. There's a lot of areas. It's a big area. And it's probably unlikely at this point, but there could be. They're thinking there could be the possibility. But what a tragic situation. A good job, and we'll see you on Friday, and we'll finish out the day here. I think you've been reading a lot about. It's a terrible topic when you talk about financial after this, but we have a big country, and we've been doing very well. The tariffs, as you know, are starting to come in at record levels. Tremendous amounts of money are coming in to our country. We never did that before. We're not used to it. We only have tariffs going out. We only adhered to the rules of other nations who charged us tremendous tariffs because we were led by stupid people or people without any business sense. And I'd like to ask Scott, you could maybe talk a little bit about how well we're doing with regard to the money coming in. And the big money will start coming in on August 1st. I think it was made clear today by the letters that were sent out yesterday and today. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. We will have taken in about $100 billion in tariff income thus far this year, and that's with the tariffs, the major tariffs not having started till the second quarter. So we could expect that that could be well over $300 billion by the end of the year. We don't agree with CBO scoring, but for those who do, the CBO scored tariff income over the next 10 years at $2.8 trillion, which we think is probably low. And, you know, sir, under your leadership, we're witnessing.
And they gave us no credit during this last little, the great, big, beautiful bill. I always use the word great. I add that to it because it really is what it is. It's never been anything like it, actually. And I want to thank all the Republicans that voted for it. And I want to, you know, scold the Democrats because they're voting for tax cuts. They're voting for no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and, you know, many, many other things far more important than that. Great health care. And frankly, every Democrat should lose their election because it was purely political to vote. They were told not to vote for it. So think of it. We got 218 to 2. And then with the Senate, we had 50 to 3. Democrats didn't vote at all. Not one positive vote with all of the good things in there. Economic development money, tremendous border money. Now you're loaded up on the border. And I don't think we're going to need so much of it because we had zero come in last month, so I'm not sure how much of it we want to spend. You may think about that. You may actually think about saving a lot of money because the wall's been largely built, and it obviously worked. But you may want to think about that. But so I think it's incredible when I watch the Democrats, and they have standard lines like they had Russia, Russia, Russia. They had the laptop from hell. It all came from Russia. You know, they make things up and they go with it, and they feed it to you people in many cases, and they said, here's our line. And I hear the new line is death. Oh, it's death. Everyone's going to die. There's nothing to do with death. In fact, we're saving our country. Death is from allowing 25 million people into our country, of which 3 or 4 are stone-cold, hard criminals. 11,888 are murderers, many of them committing more than one murder. That's death, and the Democrats did that. Joe Biden did that by allowing people to come in here just totally unchecked, unvetted, open borders, open borders. The whole world was dumped into our country from prisons, from gangs, from mental institutions. We have many people walking the streets, walking in areas that we don't know anything about, that came out of insane asylums. They released their the insane asylum population into our country, and it's amazing the job that you and Tom Homan are doing, by the way, on that. But we have to get them out, and we have no choice. We have to get them out, and we are getting them out. And so, Pete, you want to tell them about our great military and how well we did with respect to the bombers and the B-2? We had the pilots here 2 days ago, and they were incredible people. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Truly a historic mission, and demonstrated the skill and courage of the United States military. From those B-2 pilots and families that we had a chance to meet, sir, to the fighter pilots, to the refuelers, to the maintainers, to the air defenders who defended the base. What was demonstrated on the world stage was American military might and capability. And it wasn't just Fordo and Esfahan and Natanz that took notice in Iran. It was the rest of the world. That we have a decisive commander-in-chief willing to use these capabilities, which are the best in the world. As the president pointed out, no one else could have done what America did there on that night, and everyone took notice of that. With the one big beautiful bill, sir, we've got $150 billion additional to invest in Golden Dome and all the other weapon systems and stockpiles and shipbuilding priorities of yours. Another month, another historic recruiting bump. It's not just the Army and the Marine Corps anymore. It's the Navy, the Air Force, and the Space Force, all historically ahead of where they've ever been. So historic spirit inside. military. We had a chance to be at NATO, Marco and I, and see how the world responds to us saying it's time for you to shoulder the burden and take the lead for your continent. It only happens with President Trump leading. And we're proud to be a part of what's going on at the border, sir, with now a fourth national defense area where we're helping get to that number 0 and securing the border. But that mission, Operation Midnight Hammer, re-established deterrence. It reversed what happened in Afghanistan. You saw the debacle of what Biden allowed to happen in Afghanistan and what that did to our image. President Trump said, with Operation Midnight Hammer, we're reestablishing American leadership in deterrence, and we're proud to be a part of it, sir.
And our so-called enemies were watching. They watched every minute of it. They watched. There was very few people that weren't watching, actually, but they watched every minute. It was a perfect military performance, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, if you compare that to the same country, the